All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a really important industrial process that honestly is surrounded by a ton of confusion: water softening. We're going to get right to the bottom of the lime soda method.
So, let's just dive right in and tackle what is probably the single biggest misunderstanding in water treatment. It's a belief that kind of makes sense at first glance, but man, in the real world, it causes a whole lot of problems. And here it is. This is the core myth right here. The idea that lime is the magic bullet, the one-and-done solution for hard water. And look, it sounds simple, but believing this is like trying to build a car with only a steering wheel. We're about to see just how incomplete this picture really is.
And this is the question that just unravels the whole myth. I mean, think about it. If lime is really all you need, then what on earth are you supposed to do about that stubborn, persistent kind of hardness that lime just can't touch?
Okay, so to really get why that question is such a big deal, we need to quickly break down what hardness in water even is. Now, I know it sounds super technical, but the basic idea is way simpler than you'd think.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. At its heart, hard water is just water that has a bunch of dissolved calcium and magnesium floating around in it. But, and this is a big but, not all hardness is created equal.
And this slide, right here, is the absolute key to everything. You've got temporary hardness on one side, which comes from bicarbonates, and then you've got permanent hardness on the other, from stuff like sulfates and chlorides. Getting this difference is how we bust that myth wide open. So, now that we know about the two types of hardness, it's time to meet our two main players. And you shouldn't think of them as enemies, not at all. Think of them more like a specialized team, where each one has a very, very specific job to do.
First up, we've got our main suspect, lime, or calcium hydroxide if you want to get technical. It's an amazing chemical, super effective, but only against very specific targets. So, let's check out its game plan.
So you can see, lime's strategy is incredibly precise. It goes straight for the bicarbonates, the cause of temporary hardness. The chemistry is pretty slick, actually. It turns them into these little solid particles that literally just fall out of the water. Super easy to get rid of. But here's the catch. When lime comes up against those things that cause permanent hardness, the sulfates, the chlorides, the nitrates, you know what happens? Absolutely nothing. It's totally useless against them. And this is where our first player hits a wall.
And that, of course, brings us to player number 2, soda ash, also known as sodium carbonate. This is the specialist you call in to handle the exact problem that lime just can't fix.
See how this works? Soda ash zeroes in on the bad guys, causing permanent hardness. It turns those calcium sulfates and magnesium chlorides into insoluble stuff that precipitates out, just like before. And the leftovers? Just harmless sodium salts that stay dissolved and don't cause any scaling. Problem solved.
Okay, so we've got one chemical for temporary hardness and another for permanent hardness. You can probably see where this is going, but seeing exactly why they have to work together, well, that's where it all clicks into place.
This table really just lays it all out, doesn't it? If you only use lime, you're stuck with all that permanent hardness, a total non-starter. But if you only use soda ash, you leave the bicarbonates behind, and that can create a whole new set of headaches, like throwing your pH levels all out of whack. Now, the theory's cool and all, but this whole teamwork idea really comes to life when you see the actual numbers from a real-world water treatment plant.
Just look at this. You start with insanely hard water, up at 1300. You add just the lime, and yeah, it helps, but you're still left with 400 or 500. It's not until you bring in the soda ash that the hardness just plummets, all the way down to a super manageable 50 to 100. I mean, the numbers don't lie.
So after all that, after looking at the chemistry, after looking at the real-world proof, the verdict is pretty clear. This isn't about one chemical being better than the other. It's all about a necessary, powerful partnership.
And you know, this is why people in the industry don't just call it the lime process. The name itself tells the whole story. It's the lime soda softening process, because that name honors the fact that you absolutely need both to get the job done right.
I just think this quote says it all, doesn't it? Lime is incomplete without soda, and soda is incomplete without lime. For this to work, you just can't have one without the other. They're two parts of one really elegant solution. So the next time you hear someone say, "Oh, just throw some lime at it," you'll know the whole story. And you'll know that in chemistry, just like in life, sometimes the real magic is